lot of conversations, but first let's take you to what is trending as we speak. The Statistician General for the NBS, that the Bureau of Statistics, Yemi Kale, is right now on Twitter. That means the NBS has released its corruption perception report, and the data is there on Twitter. If you want to go through, if you want to see what is going on, you need to follow Yemi Kale right now at SGYE That's Yemi Kale there. And of course, that's about what is the perception of corruption in Nigeria. And according to what we see right now on Twitter, corruption is paid more in the north, in the southwest and the northwest of Nigeria. This data also says that corruption is perceived to be increasing, or corruption, I beg your pardon, corruption is perceived to be increasing in Nigeria over the last, compared to 2 years prior to this survey. At the national level, by as much as 44.3%, Nigerians believe that corruption is increasing very rapidly over the last 2 years. But if we want to get a better picture of who thinks what and by what percentage, you find out that folks in Nigeria's the northern part of the country believe, the northwest believe that corruption is actually increasing. 75.4% of the respondents there believe that corruption is decreasing in Nigeria, while in the southwest, the survey showed 58.4% of respondents believe corruption is expanding. In the north central, the figure is about 39%. Folks believe that corruption is increasing in Nigeria over the last 2 years. In the northeast, 17.4% folks believe the corruption is increasing, and 65.8% believe corruption is declining in Nigeria. A very interesting survey from the Bureau of Statistics that was done in partnership with one of the United Nations organizations. You want to check that out as you go on about corruption perception. This is the first of its kind when we domesticate corruption perception index in Nigeria. This is another thumbs up there for the Bureau of Statistics. Let's get back to the market. Look at the big five, the big seven on the market yesterday. As far as the oil majors were concerned, those in the big marketers, corn oil went up almost 4% when the market finished off at 33.89. 40 oil suffered 4.63%. Mobile and MRS were unchanged. Owando lost 1.37. If you flip that over, and you can see Seplat there up by 0.42%. That 482 has been a very steady gain this week so far for that E&P company. Okay, let's talk about the mutual funds markets. Ola Belgore is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Afrinvest Asset Management. The mutual funds guys are the ones who bring everybody's money together and manage it on behalf of those retail investors. The Afrinvest actually rolled out what they call the NIDF 20 years ago. It's one of the oldest surviving mutual funds in the market. And we want to talk a little bit about the mutual funds market, look back and how the challenges they face in the market. Mr. Belgore, good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Talk to us about the mutual funds market. Let's use the NIDF first, then we'll get into the bigger picture. What you folks have been able to achieve. The NIDF started as a hybrid. You need thousands of naira to
come on board. Yeah.
to come on board. I remember that was denominated in dollars back then.
Yeah, back then.
And reporting it on the exchange then, when it sees the first dollar figure I saw on the stock exchange.
Yeah, again, thank you for having me talk about the NIDF. Like you said, NIDF started about 20 years ago in 1997. This was in response to the market situation at the time. Nigeria was very exposed to international borrowing, and so we decided as a firm to start tracking those those bonds.
The Brady bonds, as it were.
The Brady bonds,
yes.
Exactly. So, of course, it was priced in dollars, and it was assumed to be for the big boys and all of
yes,
that.
It was.
So,
yes, it was. Because that was just a year after, about the time Nigeria was restructuring the Paris Club.
Yes.
That was a good time for that fund to come up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. But so down the line, around towards with the Paris Club write-off of the Nigeria debt, that we felt that there was a need to restructure it because, of course, you had to track volatility. We were now those foreign loans that we're tracking were no longer existent. So we had to restructure the bond in 2010 to then track local bonds. So the NIDF is basically a mutual fund that tracks that has the Nigeria sovereign bonds as its underlying asset. That's the federal government and state government bonds.
Okay, thank you for this bit of a chart or tables that you sent in. This is a fund. If you're looking at the fund that has payout policy of 25% on earned income, that is a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. Again, part of the policy, the objective of setting up the fund was to give the subscribers consistent income periodically, and so we've tried to be consistent with that. We've paid dividend twice a year since the inception in 1997. The only time that there was no coupon paid was in 2010 because of the restructuring that I mentioned earlier. So we have been consistent, and I don't know if you are aware, we just declared the interim dividend for 2017.
When I see coupon announcements, my ears go up.
Okay.
So some folks are about to make money.
Exactly.
Because times are very hard. So that brings me to a very important part of this conversation. If you're looking at a mutual fund that's done 20 years, that means you were there before the bank consolidation, the insurance sector consolidation, the market boom, then the bust. Then we're trying to repackage and put the entire market together. How does a mutual fund survive this very tough environment and market cycle?
Well, all mutual funds has what is called the trust deed that guides its operations. So you are allowed to, of course, in setting up the fund, you have to be forward-looking. You have to be able to anticipate some of these challenges that you mentioned. So for us, for instance, we have two listed mutual funds. We have the Afrinvest Equity Fund, which has also done pretty well in terms of market performance. It's outperformed the all-share index a couple of times. And it's about re-strategizing, having your strategy right. And so sometimes we do what you may call stagger strategy, and sometimes we do contrarian strategy. So when everybody is selling, because we had as you know, we have a very good research team. So based on our forecast of the market, we strategize. So when everybody is selling and there's a panic, we stay put.